This is Scott Spears, and I'd like to welcome you to a new program, kind of a radio and television hybrid, The Exchange. Joining me are panelists, longtime WMRN, WDIF, and WDCM radio personality Charlie Evers, WCMH, WSYX, and WMRN radio and television personality Marianne Michaels, and the man who put you to bed for a long time on WBNS, Fritz the Night Owl. We do want to recognize our sponsors, as today's episode of The Exchange is brought to you by Peacock Water. At Peacock Water, their mission is simple. They want you to love your water. Peacock Water is located at 1800 Marion Marysville Road. If you would like to reach them, call 740-387-6312. We're also brought to you today by Bubbyman Games, the place to go to buy and sell and trade video games. Located at 131 West Center Street, right here in Marion. Call 740-341-7009 for assistance. And by Night Owl Theater. Who else? Lots of great Night Owl merchandise and videos available, located on the internet at www.fritzlives.com. For more information, call Night Owl TV at yahoo.com, and that's NITEOWL TV at yahoo.com. We're going to kick things off today with This Day in History by Charlie Evers. Charlie?
All right, in this day in history, Patrick Henry declared, "Give me liberty or give me death." And that was in 1775. In 1806, Lewis and Clark began their long journey east. Benito Mussolini in 1919 founded his own party in Italy, the Fasci di Combattimento.
Easy for you to say.
Yes, it is. In 1983, President Reagan proposed a space-based missile defense system called Strategic Defense Initiative, or Star Wars. 1998, the motion picture epic Titanic won 11 Oscars at the 70th Academy Awards, tying it with Ben-Hur for the most ever. And in 2001, Russia's Mir space station entered its 15-year orbit of the Earth, splashing down in the South Pacific. And in 2003, a U.S. Army convoy was ambushed in Iraq with 11 killed and 7 captured, including Private First Class Jessica Lynch. And that's the day in history.
Thank you, Charlie. Fritz, was Titanic as good as Ben-Hur?
I liked Ben-Hur better. I thought that, I thought they were both great movies. It's just that for some reason I've always had a thing for the costume, historical, the sword and sandal kind of thing, and so I lean a little bit towards Ben-Hur. But Titanic, whenever it's on, I always, if I tune in the middle, I'll watch it till the end. If I tune in for the last three, if I catch the last, I'm a channel surfer, so there are certain movies that no matter when I hit them, if they're on, I'll watch them to the end.
You know, Titanic, for me, a lot of people said was too long. I kind of felt that. You know, you parked your car and then you had to go outside and dust it off when the movie was over. I mean, it was a 3-hour movie.
No, well, I never thought of it as an extra long movie. It held my interest all the way through. Of course, as a claustrophobic, it did bother me more than Ben-Hur, because the thought of drowning is just terrifies me, and there was a lot of that going. But I didn't think it was a long movie, even though I didn't realize it was 3.5 hours or 3 hours plus.
Marianne, what did you think of Titanic? I saw it in a movie theater, and I remember getting cold while the movie was on when you watched the water rush through the ship.
I thought it was an excellent movie, and I had a wonderful opportunity this past fall. They had a Titanic exhibition in New York City, and I was able to see it. And after having seen the movie and then seeing the actual things in the Titanic, it was quite an experience. I liked Ben-Hur too. I love period pieces.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's a toss-up. I really do.
Two good movies.
Two very good movies.
Both deserving of Oscars.
Classics, right.
Charlie, your opinion on that?
Well, I tell you, I like the Titanic. I like the background. I'm interested in the submarine and all that went into filming the Titanic as it lay on the bottom of the ocean.
You know,
yes.
I remember when Titanic came out, there was a lot of talk of it kind of glorifying, because this story really didn't happen, and people started to believe that this was a real event that took place.
Yes, with over 1,000 people drowned, that was sometime in 1915. And I knew one of the last survivors of the Titanic, a little fella by the name of Schmidt from Mansfield, had a clothing store over there.
Did he ever talk about it?
Oh, yes, yes.
A lot of people won't talk about experiences like that.
That's right. But he was just a young boy when he was rescued.
That's amazing. You know, I wonder sometimes how people survive events like that. Don't you, Marianne?
Yes.
Wars, things like
Well,
that.
the recent situation in Japan is just unbelievable. And the way the people, the Japanese, I guess, are well known for being very stalwart and, handling. But wow, I cannot begin to imagine surviving or not surviving in that kind of a situation. And it's still ongoing.
Fritz, the tremendous amount of, people have flashbacks when they're in wars. Titanic, I'm sure people from the Hindenburg had the same type of thing. Is there any way, do you think, people can get over that? I know people go to psychiatrists, but it's tough.
I think it would be difficult. Fortunately, I've never had anything even remotely close like that in my life that has continued to haunt me. But I know that my father, who was a veteran of World War II, the Pacific, I can count on the fingers of one hand the number of times he actually would talk about the campaign and shooting it. My younger brother, who's in Naval Academy, was a Navy captain, also got shot at and things like that, and he rarely talks about those things. So I don't know. It's just apparently, if it's not at the foreground of your mind, maybe you can forget it for a little while.
You know, my father was in Vietnam, and he was dumped out of a helicopter while he was over there, which is what eventually led to his discharge. I never remember him talking about it. Never talking about the active combat. One thing I wanted to talk about today, I had a strange experience yesterday. Dreams. I fell asleep. I fell asleep in a chair yesterday, and the television was on the ID channel, which you get on Dish Network. And I love this channel. It's got like the 48 Hours and crime investigations, real ones, not the fictional ones. And I fell asleep in the chair, and I dreamed that I was back. I don't know if it was high school or college, but that I had a paper due on somebody, and it was due at 9 o'clock, and it was pass or fail, and it was 8:50 when I found myself in the dream. So I had this throwback, and the paper was on, Charlie, who was the guy, Dillinger, the guy who shot everybody?
He was one of them.
Yeah.
Jesse James Gang.
Yeah.
Okay, Dillinger, and when I woke, the paper had to be on Dillinger. I remember that from the dream, and when I woke up, they were doing something on the ID channel on Dillinger.
Dillinger stayed several nights in downtown Marion during his reign of terror.
J. Edgar Hoover was after him on his tail. Fritz, what do you make of that dream?
Well, I was about to say that this is not an uncommon phenomenon, that if you fall asleep and you're watching television, that whatever is on television somehow seeps in, because the same thing has happened to me, not with Dillinger, but I'll wake up and what I was dreaming about is relevant to whatever program is on. The dream you had about the paper not being due at 9 o'clock and it's 8:50, the variation of that is the student dream, where it is so real and you've got to get to the classroom, and you get to the classroom and you can't open the door, and when you get to your desk you can't open the blue book to read the questions. Variation is the DJ dream, where again you've got to be on the air at whatever time. You can't get in the studio. When you do get in, you can't get the turntables to work, and you can't read the labels on the 33 RPM, and you can't cue up the record. And I've talked to a lot of DJs, and they say, we've had that dream, and so and what's terrible about those is that they stay with you after you awake. You still feel. You ever had the one where you can't find your car?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's,
And you
it's
wake up-
interesting that you brought this up, Scott, because my husband Ted and I were talking about this morning. Dreams fascinate me.
Yeah.
And I would love to have an expert sometime tell me well, first of all, I took some pills last night that were, I recently had a knee operation, and sometimes I have pain in it, and I took 2 Aleve before I went to bed. I dreamed horrible dreams, and I guess medication will do that. But then sometimes it seems like I'm always chasing something,
Yeah.
and I'm never getting whatever I'm chasing. It's horrible.
Have
Now,
you-
when you wake up, do you still feel like part of you're
Yes.
still in that situation?
Yes, I'm
It takes
exhausted when
10
I
or-
get up.
Yeah, oh,
Have you ever had the one where you're laying in bed and
you can't move.
And you can't. Oh, it's torture. But then there's the other one,
Terrifying.
the variation one that I've had, and it went away, thank goodness. But it happened like every week for about 3 weeks, about 2 summers ago. Was in your dream you're just falling for some reason, like off of your bed or something, and you wake and it's like your heart is pounding because you feel like you're falling, and you wake up and you're just laying flat in bed. And I've talked to people and they've had that dream. I don't know what causes that.
And then sometimes I can't remember a dream. I remember that it was an awful experience. And Ted, my husband, always remembers his dream. He comes down for breakfast the next morning. Word for word, he remembers everything about his dreams. And a lot of times I don't know anything. I just know that I'm tired.
No, I remember most of mine, and fortunately more of them are pleasant.
Oh,
I'm sort of
that's
sorry.
good.
I'm sort of sorry to wake up, and again, there's that little aftermath of where you feel you're still in the situation, and then I'm disappointed that, hey,
You're
if
not
I
there
could have only
anymore.
if I could have only dreamt 10 more minutes on this thing, it would have been even better.
I was 4 years old, and I saw, it was either a dream or, I can hardly think it'd be real life, saw this strange-looking person looking in at me through my bedroom window, and I was 4. Very strange eyes, and I've never forget. It is in my mind almost every day. I see that man.
Are you sure it was a dream?
Well, I don't know, but if I turn, there's a certain weatherman on a channel in Columbus that looks identical.
Really?
Yes.
And he was, every time you see that
Every
weatherman,
time
you
I
go
see
crazy.
that, it takes me back.
Scott, I think you need to do some research on a dream expert. I think that would
Be a great
wonderful-
guess.
I think that's fascinating.
I think it is too.
Dreams are fascinating. Now, I do want to touch on a current event. Learned recently, Liz Taylor, dead at 79. This was an actress. Boy, when you see the Kardashians and the Jersey Shore
One
now,
of the Kardashians is going to play her, I think.
oh boy, won't that
yes,
be a?
is going to play her life.
Won't
I
that
mean,
be
I
a
just
test?
heard that today. I don't
But I mean, they don't breed movie stars like this
No.
anymore, do they, Charlie?
No, they sure don't. And boy, when I was a little younger, that was it. She was the person, the movie star that I saw every movie she made.
And she acted like a movie star. She
Yes.
didn't have ripped jeans and
Yes.
hair all,
She was always glamorous.
and kept the look. Cleopatra. Ooh.
Wow.
Fritz, tell us about Liz Taylor.
Well, again, I'm old enough that I saw her. I think I remember her first from the horse picture with Mickey Rooney,
Was it
National
National
Velvet.
National Velvet.
Yes.
And I
Oh,
think she'd been in.
loved
I think
that.
she'd been in a couple of
She was young at that
smaller roles in the Judge Hardy series, the Mickey Rooney Hardy series. She was one of the MGM contract players, and a lot of those people, like Esther Williams, was in some of those, and some of their other big stars. But I've been a fan of hers for just years and years and years. To me, the ultimate Liz Taylor picture was one called A Place in the Sun. She
Yes.
co-starred with Montgomery Clift, and George
Yes.
Stephen directed it.
Remember her on the beach?
On the
beach
beach.
scene.
Well, it was a thing like the love scenes between she and Clift, and George Stevens brought that camera in. You could almost see their pores, and the music is in the background, and they're dancing. And I mean, everybody in the theater just fell in love. He got that across so well, and she was stunning in that. And I just like the fact that she could handle anything. She could handle comedy. I guess I've never seen her in a musical, but where she's George and Martha, where she's the wife of Richard Burton and
That's our
George
Afraid of
Siegel.
Mrs. Wolf. Woolf?
Who's
something?
Afraid of
Who's
Virginia
Afraid of
Woolf?
Virginia
Virginia
Woolf.
Woolf,
That's
yes.
right.
Here she is, this frumpy, frowsy,
Yes.
and yet exuding
Oh.
a sexuality
Right.
that is incredible. And then suddenly last summer, where again she's with Montgomery Clift, and she saw her cousin or somebody killed in this strange
Yes.
place, and there's this blazing sun.
I'd like to go back and re-see every one of her movies. I
you
think
know,
that would be a nice project.
One of the nice things about being alive now, if in the 40s any of us had thought you could go and buy a little box and
Yes.
put it in another little box and see
It's-
any movie
isn't
you
that
wanted to
fun?
do,
Isn't
and
that
you could
neat?
buy it for $20 and you could own it for the rest of your who'd
Well,
who'd
she
have
was
thought?
married for eight times, you know.
Yes.
I think the relationship with Richard Burton was really the first major tabloidish
Yes, except-
relationship.
Yeah.
Well, and
Well,
Mike Todd was another
Mike
one.
Todd, well,
She-
Eddie Fisher
she-
too.
Yes,
Eddie
that's true,
Fisher.
but she stole Eddie Fisher from Debbie.
Yeah, but I mean that still was tabloid
Oh,
material.
definitely.
Didn't she marry a pizza driver later
Yes,
on in life
at the
too?
very last
Yeah.
marriage.
Yeah.
I think it was a Polish name. I can't think of it.
Did she ever marry that Army football player?
No, we
Doc
talked
Blanchard?
Glenn Davis.
Glenn Davis.
Glenn Davis.
Yeah.
We talked about that this morning.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think she did.
No, she dated him for a while,
Yes, she
but
dated
they
him.
were
He
serious.
was very handsome.
I think he was the first. I think he was the first one. She married Nicky Hilton first.
Nicky
was
Hilton
the first
was
one.
the
Yeah.
first one.
But I mean, it was a thing that her romances were always
Yes.
entertainment news.
Yes.
People made all the papers.
Do you think she did it for entertainment? After a certain point, 8 marriages, you're marrying a pizza man, you're marrying different sorts of people. Do you think it becomes fodder at one point, and that's all it is, or is it for love? Can you get married 8 times for love?
Well, she was married to Richard Burton twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was an important relationship.
Oh,
That for some reason they couldn't get along with each other. They couldn't get along without each other.
Well, I think he was a hard
guess.
person to get along with in general, from what I've read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, was he a great actor, though.